people will do things for reward, right? People want to be honored. People want things that they look forward to. They don't want to be shamed about something. People want more conscious relationships. People are often saying, I don't want to settle. None of us have been given a good sex education. And now we have an opportunity becoming a conscious lover. It's like no longer can we start sweeping it under the rug and be unconscious as to who we are as sexual and erotic beings, because there's too much information that's out there. And if you choose to go unconscious, that's your choice. People fall into these roles of like sex is a duty. So the loving intention is taken out of that versus this ability to be able to say, I would really love something different, but often they don't say it because they don't know what they want.
Well, welcome everyone. We're back at Jill Collins Connections, and today we have another amazing guest. Not only is she an expert in her field, but she's also a dear friend of mine. Allie Jewell is a masterful coach on sex and intimacy. She actually talks about things that in a different way than I've ever heard from other people in the field. She focuses on how to become a conscious lover. I loved her approach. It's like a clinical style, the way that she can delve into it and make it practical and understandable. So let's dive right in. And Allie, welcome to the show. And I would love to hear more about what are the 5 pillars in the pathway to pleasure. If you want to start there or go wherever you'd like. I'm just so happy to have you here today.
Thank you. Thank you, Jill. First of all, thank you for the beautiful intro. I appreciate that. Thank you for the invitation to be here. I'm excited about this conversation. I always get lit. I'm always lit up and excited when I talk about this. So if I go too fast, I'll slow myself down a little bit. But yeah, the pathway to pleasure was something that really came from a lot of the years of work that I've been doing. And it really stems something for me personally, like what I wanted in my life when it came to pleasure, when it came to intimacy. And then as I was coaching individuals, it seemed like there were really 5 buckets in 5 different areas where I found were the most, needle movers for people, like different areas to focus on around sex, around intimacy. And the 5 of them in particular are the erotic self-awareness, like really understanding who am I as this erotic being, right? Knowing my arousal, knowing what turns me on, knowing what shuts me down in the space of pleasure, sex, and intimacy. And really also expanding on that too. That's a whole conversation in itself of pleasure-based sex versus performance-based sex. So what I teach is very pleasure-based sex because we're so programmed around performance-based. Erotic self-awareness is number 1. The second is conscious communication. And I call it conscious communication because I feel so many times we can go unconscious in our relationships, unconscious in our ability to communicate with our partners, right? We go on autopilot in the way that we communicate. So it does take a sense of self-awareness in order to be consciously communicating and what we're saying and noticing what it is that we need ourselves, and to be able to ask for that. And then also there's a play inside of that around using words as your aphrodisiac, because words can be fun in the bedroom too, right? And sometimes those words are the part of the turn on for people. So learning and teaching that as well for people is a big needle mover. And then
touch. The third one?
That's the second one. Conscious communication is the second one. Yeah, the third one is touch skills. So learning different touch around the giving and the receiving part of touch, just getting a foundation, and then a different depth and understanding of touch skills is the third one. The fourth one is embodiment. It's really, how do we get out of our head during sex? Because there are times where we pop out, right? Oh, it's the groceries, or it's the dog barking, or the door slams, or the music isn't right, or the lighting isn't right. So the embodiment of how do we get back into our bodies? And then the fifth part of that is the sexploration, is the willingness to explore and to experience something different. No matter whether you are currently single, this is a beautiful place to be able to start this whole journey, really is, because it really starts with knowing yourself and loving yourself, that component of self-love. And who wouldn't want to have a map, so to speak, like a pathway to pleasure, right? Here are the things that turn me on. Here are the things that arouse me. And here are also the things that really shut down arousal. And then our ability to expand and explore, because most likely we are going to attract a partner that has a different pathway to pleasure, that has a different way of being aroused and turned on. So instead of going into shaming or blaming or making them wrong, it's about understanding, that is what brings that person pleasure. Now I can be on board with that. Now there's a different level of understanding inside of all of that.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that is such a great intro, the 5 pillars in the pathway to pleasure. Wow.
Yeah.
I love this so much. There's so many directions we can go with that. And
Yeah.
I was thinking, like, the whole thing, it seems like it's making intimacy, whether it be personal intimacy with ourselves, getting to know ourselves, or with a partner, more intentional.
Yeah.
And more like where we're not just, I love what you said about being conscious and not going unconscious, is doing the things we've always done. And then the erotic self-awareness is the kind of knowing what it is that we like, what we're into. And then, but then I think the sexploration, which you said down at the number 5, was like, even for singles, is like getting to know what it is that we like and don't like. And then we can literally create a blueprint or a roadmap to give to a partner and say, here's how I like to be pleasured. What a novel idea. It's like this, it's almost like the love languages, is here's how to love me. You want a partner to win, and so give them the tools.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And that erotic self-awareness. So let me just back up a little bit of who I am in that space is, to introduce myself to those and just give you a little bit of a backstory, is that I am a sex and intimacy coach. I'm also a certified erotic blueprint lead coach intern with Jaiya, who is world renowned. She's on Netflix, Sex, Love, and Goop. She has multiple books come out. So being a lead coach intern for her means that I also participate in teaching classes to her community. So sex tips, tools, and tricks, pleasure mastery calls inside of that. And then also I utilize and bring those tools into my coaching with people. Also, I'm a trainer for Tony Robbins. I've been a coach for Tony. I've been a scientist of 24 years, accelerated evolution certified, NLP certified. So I bring a wealth of knowledge and skills into that space. So when I speak of the erotic self-awareness, which is really that first pillar, it is foundational on understanding your erotic blueprint. And as you brought up the Gary Chapman's 5 love languages, just very much like the 5 love languages, Jaiya came to understand that we have 5 ways in which we express ourselves sexually. And we have superpowers in those 5 areas. And we also have the shadow sides in those 5 areas. So if I can, I'll touch a little bit on some of those, right? Okay. So the 5, it is quite transformational for people just to understand, first of all, who they are as this erotic being. I actually did this on TikTok, and I had over 1.5 million views on TikTok. And I separated it into each of the blueprints, and each one I had, I think, over 500,000 people going in, and people just even commenting like, oh my God, this is me. This is who I am. Like, so you really get to see who you are inside of this language. And it gives you language to be able to communicate then to your partner. So let's just dive into a little bit so that people that are listening have a deeper understanding. So the first, and there's no hierarchical, right? There's no particular order. No one is better than the other. We are all amazing and beautiful as who we are as these erotic beings. And so I'll just start with one. And one of them is the energetic blueprint. So the energetic, in the hallmark of the energetic, is spaciousness. Everything is the spacious, slowing it down, tease, playfulness. They love that yearning and longing for sex. That seeing somebody that you like, or that you can make eye contact with. And it's the building up of that, the tease that goes back and forth inside of that. So that's really the big part of the energetic, and they can have non-touch orgasms because there is a sense of energy that moves through the body in this space. So that can be a big part of the pathway to pleasure, is the tease for them, the longing and the yearning of sex. But direct genital touch would shut them down in their blueprint. So if they're with somebody that is just going straight for the genitals, that can be the pathway that really shuts them down. Too much, too fast, has a tendency to shut them down. And they may use vocabulary that is, sex is a spiritual experience, right? It's a place that we go. It's like altered states of consciousness. It's like a meditation in ways for them. So that even the language that we talked about earlier in the conscious communication, the language is important inside of that too, because we would speak to somebody that is energetic very differently than we might speak to somebody that is more kinky or very sexual. So that is the energetic, where they love the spaciousness.
Spaciousness. Okay.
Yeah.
And the T's, taking the time.
Yeah, time. Yeah. Spaciousness is a beautiful word for the energetic.
I hope everyone's got their notebook, their pen and paper. And if you don't have it, go grab it and rewind it and start back to where we were talking about this, because you want to write this down. And she's going to give, by the way, Allie is going to give you some of her amazing tools and tips. And we're going to give you links here. So you're going to have access to Allie. She has some great stuff happening, and she'll tell you about that in a minute. And then also you'll be able to try out check out what blueprint style you are too. I didn't want to interrupt, but I do want you to maybe just tell them a little bit about what it is you have coming up, and you can do that in a minute, but I would just love for you to have that opportunity too. I don't want to forget.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you want me to finish off with the blueprints?
You did energetic. Yeah, you did.
Because there's so much going on right now.
I know. My ADD brain.
Yeah, thank you. I'm excited too. So the next one, and I'll make it a little bit quicker too, so that we can make certain we honor time and get through some more information. But because we're only in the erotic self-awareness portion of this, but the sensual blueprint is somebody that they love closeness. Whereas the energetic loves spaciousness, the essential blueprint is somebody that loves closeness. So they might be there to grab your hand right away, or love to kiss you and want to touch you and always want to be present or cuddle with you. So they love that sense of closeness, and they're turned on by all the senses. They're the sense of touch and taste and smell and sound and visual, like all of it. So they may be the ones that walk into a coffee shop or a restaurant or a bakery, and they're like, oh my God, it smells so good in here, right? So they're having this olfactory orgasm that's going on, and it is exciting to them. It is arousing to them. And that is part of the pathway to pleasure, right? Okay. It's just this redefining of what sex means for people and what finds pleasure. Esther Perel, I love the way she defines it. And I don't know that I'll have the exact term that she uses. Your next orgasm happens at the last orgasm. And meaning that it is everything that you do in between. And it's not just like when the door closes or you step into the bedroom that arousal turns on and it's just immediately there. For some people it is, but for many people it's not, especially for the energetic and the sensual. It needs to be built up, because the sensual needs to feel relaxed in order to have sex. So there's a big difference there. Whereas the sexual blueprint, which is the third one, is they need to have sex in order to feel relaxed. And so the sexual, somebody that is like that 0 to 60. So the door can close and they're like, let's go. I'm not like ready to go. So turned on by what we see as quintessential sex in our culture. It's the nudity, it is the wetness, it is the conversation of sex, it is all those things that are aroused. So very different conversation for somebody that's sexual versus somebody that may be energetic, that loves the spaciousness and tease. So if you have this person that is, I need spaciousness and tease, and maybe I need 45 minutes. And even just when you speak of, if we're speaking genital-based bodies, and we're talking about a woman with female genitalia versus a man with male genitalia, then even the arousal can be different. You can have anywhere 30, 40, 50 minutes of becoming into a state of arousal for a female genitalia, whereas for male genitalia, maybe more of 5 to 9 minutes, like very fast turn on, very fast arousal. And not always, it's different for everybody inside of that. But the 0 to 60 sexual often will partner maybe with somebody that is energetic or that is sensual. Sex intimacy is great, amazing in the very beginning, but then over time inside relationship, this is where people feel like they're sexually incompatible with one another, that they're not on the same page in the way that they're communicating sexually. And the shadow side of the sexual is because they can often be very orgasm focused. It is very outcome driven. Like sex is an outcome. So they can miss out on so much else that is available to them when it comes to sex and intimacy. The fourth one is the kinky blueprint. And we define kinky as what is taboo for you. And it's different for every single person, right? Somebody that is doing something, experience something a little bit different for the very first time, it pushes an edge, that can be what is considered kink for them. And the shadow side for kink can be stepping into shame, because maybe I don't want to share my kinks with my partner. Maybe I don't want to share that I want to be tied up or spanked or paddled or something. And that feels like a little bit taboo because I've never shared that with my partner before. So how do we come into conversations to be able to bridge the gap, to be able to bring that into the bedroom, especially if that's never been spoken inside of a relationship before?
I can imagine that would be really tricky in a relationship where someone's been, when you're working with probably a couple, and we'll talk about some examples in a minute, is where someone discovers this. And then it's one thing if you just meet someone and you can like show your cards up front and then it's cool. But when you've been in a relationship for 20 years and then someone wants to do something different, it's who is this person? Yeah. So I want to use that. I want to talk about that in a minute, but
yeah, that we could go down that path for sure, because that's an exciting conversation to talk about too, right? That shows up inside, whether you're single or whether you're in relationships. Now, let me just finish off at the fifth one, and then we can move into that, because the fifth one is really the shapeshifter, and they're turned on by all of it. They have all these superpowers of the energetic, the sensual, the sexual, and the kinky, and they also have the shadow sides of all of it as well. So there can be healing work to do inside of all of these. The shadow work of just realizing what is shutting down pleasure. And it's not about sweeping it under the rug, it's about integrating it. This is a part of us. This is a part of who we are as beings. So how do we integrate that into our life and do the healing work? Because some of this, Jill, isn't even our own stuff. Some of this is parental, it is societal, it is generational, it is taught to us. And I often share this in my webinars. My mother, bless her soul, she is going in her 96th year. And I remember asking her when I was very young, I want to say I was like maybe between the ages of 10 to 12. And I said, Mom, what does masturbation mean? And you would think I just committed a crime or something. And there was so much shame around that. And how that affected me later on in life, unfortunately, with my former partners, to where the shame arose around self-pleasure, self-care, self-love, self-nurturing, just not honoring that in that space, or even doing it, but then having shame around it. Like that's a whole journey in itself. And there's so much of that's programmed into us that we're not often even consciously aware of. And sometimes it's not even ours to begin with. It's just what was taught or not taught to us, because I don't know many people that even got a good sex education growing up. What I'm about is helping that space of healing, right? Bringing sex positivity, bringing pleasure to sex, because for many people, they've learned from pornography. And so it is performance-based aspects. So this is about really coming back to our bodies and really finding the pleasure inside of this erotic being and that erotic being, right? And just being with that, especially in touch skills, of becoming the body whisperer, to just be like, oh, what does this touch do? What happens here? What ripple effect gets created from all of this? And just noticing the pleasure that arises in my partner in that space. So
love that. I love that so much. I love that so much. That's so cool. And yeah, I think that the shadow sides are so interesting, and talking about like just being having an awareness and of where, first of all, where I would be, and then being willing to share that with a partner, and then having that partner being open to discovering where they are, and then to work on that together. And it's almost a dance, and there's willingness, there's consent, there's this understanding. And we talked earlier, and you were saying sometimes it's just one person can make a difference, even if the other one's not willing, because their shift will impact the other sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm working with a gentleman right now, and it's been exactly that journey, because some people want to come together and coach if they're in a relationship that they want to come as a couple. And sometimes the other partner isn't willing to do the coaching or ready to do the work yet. And as I always say,
you work with couples and you work with individuals and you do groups. Yeah. How, tell us real quick before you go into that. I'd love to know so people can be thinking about how it might apply for them.
Thank you. Yes, I work with exactly that. I work with couples and various stages, wherever they are in their relationship. And I work with individuals. I love working with individuals because that's also a beautiful place to really get to know yourself before you step into a relationship, and to be able to have the questions to ask, right? Like the more consciousness of, and knowing our sovereign yes, knowing our sovereign no. What are my boundaries? Where do I want to go with this? How do I want to explore this? And then I also do group coaching programs, and I'm launching one. This is August 2023 for people that might be listening to this in the future. And I do variety of, it's always ongoing, so you'll need to check my website, but I do group coaching programs. And I love the groups, Jill, because there's so much wisdom in the collective. because often people feel like this is a me problem, and it's not even a problem, right? It's just we come from a place, and I come from a place of you're not wrong, you're not broken, nothing needs fixing, but just knowing that I want something different and a different level of awareness. When we come into community and come together as a group, just even the shares and the wisdom inside of a tight container, that is, in a safe container for people to be able to express themselves in that space, is incredibly profound and incredibly healing. Because somebody might say something, it's, oh yeah, me too, I see myself in that person's story. And there's just so much collective healing and then cohesion in that space. So I really love to do all women's groups, all men's groups. And something new that I'm doing right now is that we'll do all women's group coaching, all men's group coaching. And then once a month we meet together as community. Because then it's a great opportunity, yeah, for singles that are like, hey, who else is doing this work? I want to know what other single men or single women that are doing the work, that you get to meet somebody else. And also for couples, they often come to, how do I now bridge the gap in this communication? How do I have this as a conscious conversation with my partner? If they've chosen to do it as group program. Some people want to just come in as a couple, and then they get more individualized, what is arising in the moment. I always say, Jill, I'm not a cookie cutter coach. I will just, because I've been doing it for so many years, I will just coach. I will always have something that I want to coach with clients in that moment to move to where their goals are, but I will always coach what is arising in the moment for them.
So, okay, that's fantastic. Yeah. That's fantastic. And we'll drop links and give more information on that so everyone can definitely reach out.
Yeah, and call with Ali, Jewel, or call with Ali, excuse me, is the fastest way, callwithali.com. And that's just CAL with WITH, and then Ali, ALY.com. So call with Ali is the fastest way to reach out to me. Yeah.
You missed that. We'll have it in the link below. So the link's below.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
All right. Yeah. So tell me more about the client that you have, the man that you're
Yeah, so getting back to him, he was sharing with me, and we've been working together for a period of time now. And when he came in, his wife chose not to do the coaching with me, but as I said, just one person to create that change. And just by simply understanding his blueprint, where he was, what her blueprint, he came in more as a sexual blueprint, and she was more energetic, sensual blueprint. So it was really just about teaching him to expand and understand his own personal blueprint. And then he chose to expand into her blueprint next. And that expansion into her blueprint was a big awakening, because our core underlying belief is that we are all shapeshifters. Truly, when we're born, we are all shapeshifters, right? And then all of a sudden, we just learned one particular pathway to pleasure. So his expansion in that, now he had said with me yesterday when we just had a coaching call, he said, all our life, we've just been so programmed to wake up. The alarm clock goes at 8 o'clock. We're up, we're out of bed, children getting the kids ready. He said, now she's staying in bed with me until 8:45, 9 o'clock, right? She's initiating sex. She's initiating. This is huge. This is huge for somebody who's been in a relationship, because we do fall into patterns. And sometimes it is one person feeling, I'm always the one that initiates sex. I'm always the one that's initiating the cuddling or the kissing or whatever. And so when our partner feels seen, heard, valued, understood, and loved, then there's an aliveness that comes out of them, right? It's, wow, now my partner's meeting me where I'm at. They get me, they understand me. And then the arousal, they're on board. The pathway to pleasure is now being triggered and turned on. So they're becoming more receptive, because you're speaking their language now. It's easier to be able to now articulate and to communicate with one another. So that's huge. To have a gentleman sitting there to share that his partner has not initiated or moved towards initiation after so many years, to have that transformed and to stay in bed together, that's beautiful. I have another couple that has worked with Gottman Institute, like world-renowned Gottman Institute, imago therapy, a variety of different therapies over 7 years. And they said it is never transformed until now, the work that we've been doing to really focus on their intimacy and the connection that's happening inside of this and the sex that's coming up for them. And they do have younger children. So it's about making this a priority inside the relationship. And that a big shift for them was they already had a lot of communication skills from the work that they had done, right? From all the years of therapy and Chapman Institute. But it was really truly understanding who each other was as this erotic being. So learning each other's language and communicating, and how do you interact with one another so that you're not triggering the other person. Touch skills. And big one for him was understanding our pathways to pleasure. Because even though I've spoken about the 5 erotic blueprints, as I said, we're all of those. And also inside of that, we stack our way into sex, and then we unstack our way out of sex.
Why not?
So,
We stack our way into sex, and yeah, go and tell me more about that.
Yeah. For example, maybe if my primary way is tease, right? I'm very energetic. So I love tease. I love play. I love that spaciousness. Let that keep building. Let me just be in that space. Let me play in that space with you. Yeah. So that's a real turn on, right? And then I'm okay to, then you're welcome to come in and touch and be closer to me, be in my space, be in my environment. And then I can maybe move into more of the kink, because I like the kinky part, the kinky aspect. And then I can slide into the sexual component, right? Especially if it's an intimate experience with somebody. So then you can go into more erotic touch. Maybe I don't want direct genital touch right away, or the what might seem, are you ready to whatever. I want to be cautious of your audience here and what's available on your podcast, but just saying words that, okay, if somebody's just DTF, they're down to fuck, like they're ready to go right away and they're just like zipping in. And that for an energetic might just be like, whoa, way too much too fast. Like I've been on dates where men will come in and they just want to grab your hand, or they're ready to, like, they're touching you all over. And I'm just like, whoa, just a minute. You don't have that right just yet. Like you haven't earned in that space, and please honor my no in this space. So honor what I'm asking for and honor what I need right now, because as an energetic, safety is also very important for the energetic. So if I don't feel safe with this person, then I can't move into touch, right? And it's even on Zoom, you see it like in Zoom meetings with people too. If I'm just like, hey, see you later, bye, or real fast kiss goodbye, and the energetics in the room are like, whoa, way too much. Way too fast. We did even with friends, like whether I can hug or not hug, or yes, I love, we're having a conversation and they want to touch you all the time. So all the cues are there. And especially once we start dating, we see that as well. In the space of dating, it's, oh, okay, now I can see that this person's very sensual, right? Or this person's got a little bit of a kink, a little bit of an edge there, right? So the stacking in and stacking out, especially for this gentleman, was learning his partner stack was very energetic, very much spaciousness, very tease, play. And then once he can learn that, and then now your body can just down regulate, right? Because now it's, oh, I don't have the armor up. I don't have the defense up. I could just be more subdued, more relaxed. I'm more in my body. I don't feel like I'm on high alert. And now I'm enjoying this person. And then I can sink into my next pathway to pleasure.
It's almost it's almost the process or the formula. Like it sounds like to me, it's what's the winning formula, the way that the order in which one would have to do it for a particular person, like to understand the steps. Don't do this before this happens. I'm very logical. So I'm thinking like the checklist, and I don't make it like a checklist and make it take the pleasure out of it. But is that like knowing the order of events that kind of what makes someone tick?
Yes. And that it's never always the same, right? Like hormonally, our bodies.
If it's the same, then it becomes boring and routine. And then, okay.
Yeah, exactly. But here's what happens though, Jill, is that often people do get stuck in that one pathway. And then it's, I want something different in my sex life. I want more joy. I want variety. So it does become sometimes one pathway. And people just, let's just go straight to genitals, let's just genital touch, and here we go, and let's just P&V sex or whatever it is for any individual, that it's just the orgasm that matters then, versus the taking time with the finding the pathway. Because especially even as we, heal more in different areas around our shadow sides, we have more access to different pathways. Then maybe the kink comes on board, maybe the sexual comes on board. Because maybe our sexual isn't on board as an energetic, maybe we're like shaming the sexual, oh, look at individuals just getting so turned on by just looking at another person. Or when then we go into shaming that individual versus celebrating them. Wow, that's fast, like fast pathway to pleasure and arousal. Instead of shaming them, where can I also not shame my own inner sexual? Where can I learn that maybe just having a quickie, or maybe just like being DTF and being in that space, what do I need to create safety inside my body so that I can just be ready to go with my partner? And it doesn't have to be 45 minutes of, let me take a bath, let me slow it down, so the more that we begin to heal those different areas, then the more access we have to becoming more of a shapeshifter. Because the shapeshifter, if they're the, as we might say, like the ultimate lover, because they can shape to any person that they're with and be with anyone. And yet if they are always with someone that maybe is, let's just say it's somebody that is a sexual blueprint, and the sexual is always a 0 to 60, 0 to 60, 0 to 60, then they will be starved in other areas of the sensual touch, the energetic play, the tease. So somebody that is always, I want spontaneous sex always, versus somebody that's, no, I want something that's planned. I want to plan something. I want to go somewhere. I want to experience something. That's the energetic, right? I want to look forward to something. Whereas the person that is more spontaneous is, I don't want to talk about sex. I just want to have it. I just want to do it. So it's, how do you bridge all of that? And that's where I created the 5 pillars, because it's not just about knowing who you are as an erotic being. Some people will take the quiz and they think, oh, that's it, I know who I am. This work goes far deeper than that, because there's the embodiment of it. There is the healing of it. There is the language of it. There is the conscious communication. Because let's face it, having conversations around sex can be right up there with having conversations around religion and money for a lot of people. It's a very taboo topic. It is a topic that can create a lot of fighting and then just shuts down conversation. So how do we even create that? So it's creating tools, and there are tools for people to really learn, like, how do we communicate so that we're not triggering one another, that we're hearing one another, right? That we're fully present with one another and seeing each other in their own autonomy. Like, you are a conscious being that has free will, free choice to be in this relationship or not. And I honored that, right? Instead of trying to control that. Let me pause there because I've shared.
No, I love that. To embodiment, the healing, and then to have the consciousness, because it is something that, and we've talked about this before, is the thing with boundaries too. And I think what happens, and has happened in the past, and in my own life, I can say, is that the tendency is sometimes to slip into what I would call the chameleon effect, is this idea where we tend to chameleon to our partner and just accommodate what we think they want, and we lose ourselves. And it's not just in the bedroom, but it's also in other areas. And I think that by seeing and understanding that, and then I think the root of that, at least for me, has been abandonment or rejection or not being chosen, is trying to figure out. And I think some of that can just come from just various trauma things that we've had in our lives. I think a lot of people go through this, but it's that, gosh, am I willing to not just, a lot of us understand boundaries, we understand what it means, but is it worth the risk to establish boundaries, because I might lose that person, or that person won't be interested. And so we have to get to the point first, is like that's okay. And that we're actually better off by maintaining our state, because we really learn to love ourselves. And then we can do this inner work because we are trusting and we're honoring ourselves and we're showing up. And we're not betraying ourselves, because our inner being, we really know deep down when we're betraying ourselves and we're doing something we don't want to do, or that we don't even go even further, is I don't even know what I want, because I'm so used to adapting what other people want, that I don't even know what I want. So there's that discovery of getting to know what you want, and then going, okay, now that I have the blueprint, I know what I want. Then do I have the courage to go and find someone who's going to be okay with that, and tell them and stand firm in my boundaries? And this isn't just in the bedroom, but in general. And then going, okay, and then see if I find someone that aligns, and then be willing to have someone walk away and say, yeah, it's not for me. It's great. And not feel rejected, and to feel powerful out of that.
Yeah, absolutely. So well put, and so much to unpack in all of that. And obviously, Jill, that's a journey that we all have to go through. And I'm certain you've had various facets of learning along the way and all of that. And that takes years at times to really come back to what I would summarize as a self-love journey, because there's so much, whether that is understanding our boundaries, that is understanding our attachment styles, that is reclamation of our voice, our throat chakras, to be able to ask for what we want. For me personally, there was a whole people-pleasing journey inside of that, like the not knowing. I did not know, Jill, that I didn't even know. Like I didn't know what I didn't know, and I didn't know that to even ask for what I wanted. I grew up in such like Roman Catholic, Irish Catholic family, right? Youngest of 9 kids, just not taught about sex, not taught about pleasure, learning that it's almost like cutting off a part of your body. There's no attention, no awareness. It's like saying, oh, I don't even have a hand.
No access. Yeah, no access.
Yeah, no access, no conscious connection to it, and the pleasure that is driven from it. So, there is a big journey inside of that, and there's a big healing journey. And then finding the voice to be able to articulate our boundaries, learning our sacred no's, or sacred no, sacred yes, a fuck no, a hell no, a hell yes, all of that, so that we can be congruent with our head, heart, and this embodiment part of, and the touch skills of knowing. That's why I say it's always great for singles to start this journey, because it is the self-love journey of just like, how do I want to be touched? What feels good on my body, right? But if I'm not willing to explore that, and for me personally, Jill, I really thought it was my partner's responsibility to bring me to orgasm. I really thought orgasm was outside of my body. Like it's up to my lover. They're a great lover, they're not a great lover. Like whatever the story was that is in my head, thinking they're the ones that need to find my pathway to my orgasm. Okay. So I put the awareness and the consciousness outside of me, and the responsibility outside of me.
Giving away power.
Yeah, and totally giving away
also,
power.
Again, that betrayal, because we're basically saying, drive me like a car. I don't know how to do it myself. And Absolutely. So I love this, because I think a lot of people are probably going right now, listening to this going, wait, what is she talking about? Isn't that how it works? And actually no. And I know enough to know that I think it's obviously like in the head, and how we show up for ourselves, and how we create that, and what our thoughts are about, and our feelings about maybe our partner who we're with. We could say, oh, this person can always bring me to orgasm, but this other person, I have to fake it. And was it the person?
Yeah, no, I'm not compatible with them.
Yeah. I'm not compatible, but no, it's the thoughts or whatever I've created in my head, or whatever things are going on between me and that person are causing me to feel unsafe. And versus the other one, I felt complete trust, and there's no problem.
Yeah. And so that's an illusion in itself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like safety is the illusion in part of that in itself, right? That we think safety is outside of us, where it is, how do I create the safety inside of me? There is safety outside of us, right? I've got to have some level of trust that this building isn't going to collapse, and that I'm safe inside of my home, and a variety of things. But how do I learn to create safety inside of me? And that part of creating the safety also is my voice, right? Asking for what I want. What is my yes? What is my no? So if I'm always allowing somebody else to push my boundaries, and I don't know what I want, this was a big part of my journey, was having to learn that. And it still is, because there's always going to be an edge. There's always going to be something. But the more embodied I become, to be able to say, oh, there's that feeling that's arising in the pit of my stomach, or there's that feeling in my throat chakra or in my chest. And then old friend, I see you. I'm aware that you're here to show me something, that I can be more conscious to that. And then just take a moment to really drop into my body to check in. What do I need in this moment? Maybe I need spaciousness. Maybe I need distance. Maybe I just need to take a breath. Maybe I need to just slow down this conversation, slow down this touch. And then I could okay, what do I need from myself to give myself? And then if I'm with a partner, what do I need to ask from them? What do I need from them? I need for you to honor my no. I need for you to slow down. I need for loving words. I need reassurance. I need to know that if I'm going to do this with you, that there's not a sense of shaming, or that you will stay with me at the end. Like that's a big thing, is the aftercare, even after sex. For me, as somebody that's very energetic, I need grounding, because I can go very much outside of my body, and I need grounding. Like I need just somebody to hold me, stay with me, and is willing to stay there. I didn't know this in the past. So I've had former partners where it's like they're gone, they're off, and I'm like, whoa. And it feels very dysregulating to my nervous system, Jill. It's almost like I liken it to when you pull the vacuum cord, the vacuum's all the way across the room, and you don't want to go and pull it out of the wall. So you yank the cord and it just comes flying out and rattles into the vacuum. I liken it to that. That's how dysregulating it can be to the nervous system
I agree.
sometimes after sex, and you need that sense of grounding for somebody, especially that's energetic. Somebody that's sensual might need something different, cuddling, whereas a sexual might be like, yep, I'm out of here. I can't do the touch. So it's just learning all that so that we realize we're not sexually incompatible, because that's where a lot of people feel like they fail. If you look at the 2 out of 3 top reasons nowadays for relationships that are failing, and we're at the highest state in history really around divorce and relationships, and 2 out of 3 are due to the lack of intimacy inside of a relationship or infidelity. And the infidelity often becomes stemming from a couple different reasons inside of that, but one of them can very much be the not feeling the connected to our partner, the lack of intimacy inside of that relationship, right? So the lack of intimacy that leads to the infidelity. Sometimes also, I will honestly say, it's we don't pick the partner that maybe is in the right relationship dynamic, meaning nowadays people are more conscious to ask straight up front, are you monogamous? Are you into open relationships? Are you into monogamish? Are you into polyamorous? And not enough people just even ask that straight up front, because more people are choosing polyamory or want open relationships, or just at a phase where it's like, hey, I've just left a long-term relationship. I just really want to be out there to meet different people, experience different people. But again, even that reclaiming, right, the good girl inside of us, I'm just going to speak to me and my journey as a good girl would be like, oh, I can't say that to somebody. I don't want to hurt their feelings. Hey, I'm dating multiple people, or I'm experiencing multiple people right now. Like, yeah. But if the more conscious we are in our communication to hold that space and to speak it from our truth and to be in alignment with that, then the more healing happens on our planet. The more people don't get into relationships with somebody and say, oh, he or she or they cheated again. Maybe they weren't designed to be in a monogamous relationship, but they're following the old societal path and beliefs or religious beliefs, whatever it is, around relationship styles.
Wow. And I think that thing about the whole thing about safety and trust, you just went into that even further, is that if I'm communicating up front and being really open, like you talked about picking the right partner and what are you into up front, and really having that conversation, is to not just for them to say, I want to be in a serious relationship and that makes me feel safe. No, it's actually me saying what I want, and I feel safe by having said so, versus this not knowing or not revealing that and assuming and hoping that they will understand what I want, because then there's no safety in that. Does that make sense?
Oh, 1,000%. Yeah. It's any words, right? It's if I said, Jill, you live on the East Coast, and I say, describe a sunset or describe a sunrise, but then versus somebody that lives on the West Coast, describe a sunset, describe a sunrise, it's going to be totally different, right? Like, it's just a totally different experience. So I might even say the word marriage, and people say I do without even unpacking what does I do mean? Well, what are we saying I do to?
Yeah.
Are we agreeing to check in? Are we agreeing to always be in monogamy for lifelong? Are we going to agree that every year, every couple months, or that we check in and say, is this still working for you? Are you happy in this relationship? What is great? Tell me what's amazing. Tell me what needs to change. Tell me, not a big proponent of what needs to change, but tell me what you want more of. What do you want to experience? That we're moving towards creating something together that's bigger than the two of us, if you're choosing monogamy, or even if you're choosing to be in polyamory or choosing in an open relationship. And this kind of comes into the attachments and healing the abandonment and the wounding and all of that comes along this journey, is, can I just be fully present with this person right here, right now, without my attachment to them, without this relationship, even our friendship, Jill, without it needing to go a certain way, to be a certain thing, right?
That's
to just be present to present to experiencing each other right now in this moment, who we are as in our friendship and beings, And then also when we take this to our relationships, can we just be present in this moment with each other and not try to control one another, not try to control the outcome of this, to just see each other in our own autonomy, that you have your own life journey, you have your own path, your own spiritual wisdom, development, growth of your soul. I have mine. Can we honor that? How can we walk that path? And for however long that path is to be walked together and to experience that.
I love that. See that and honor our individual paths and try to be really present in the moment and experiencing each other without trying to control the outcome.
Yeah.
Solid. That's really good. And something occurred to me too, is in communication, is something I learned a long time ago, is whenever we have a breakdown in communication, it's usually based on three or four things. I'm going to try to remember them all, but one is thwarted intention, undelivered communication, unmet expectations, and there's one more, but that's all the same. And it all goes back to is the expectation that someone was supposed to understand what I was saying. The thwarted intention is like, I had an intention, but it didn't happen or something. And then that the undelivered communications, the biggest one is I didn't, quite frankly, make it clear. And so I can imagine if someone's like in relationship, like you used the marriage example, is we're sitting here going like, we do, I do, and my I do version and definition is different than my partner's. And they may be thinking, oh yeah, we're going to swing and we're going to have another partner at some point. And boy, you forgot to mention that, you didn't ask. And so there's the breakdown in communication, and there's where the fighting and all of the betrayal, the fear, all the stuff starts to break down, and it all goes back to communication.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's one of the things that I actually really pride myself on, is to create relationships where the hard things get said. Because so many times we're in relationship, and I shouldn't say pride myself, but it's bringing tools that I have learned to relationships that help people create situations, relationships where their most vulnerable things can be said without shaming each other, without hurting one another, with understanding of each other, loving each other through the experience, and without attachment to making it mean something about me, which comes back to what you said a little bit earlier, right? Is like our two greatest fears, is one of our amazing mentors always says, is not feeling loved or not feeling enough. So if at the underlying core of this is that I don't feel loved or I don't feel enough, it's often because those are core woundings that I haven't loved myself enough. I haven't learned to honor myself enough. So the journey has to start there as well. But also being in a relationship where we're not triggering each other's wounds, that we're conscious to that, and just being communicative about that, right? I love you enough to say this. I love you enough that I need to step out right now. I need spaciousness, because if I stay, it's going to do more damage to the relationship, but I'm also coming back for love, right? So that we know that we're not abandoning each other. We're there to love each other, not to wound each other, and to recognize that even if a conscious uncoupling needs to take place, it's not because you're not worthy of love. It's not because you're not lovable. It's just that maybe we're not in a space that we're really healthy together, that we're triggering each other's wounds in this space. But I still love who you are as this being and a person in my life, and somebody that's been on, shared a part of this journey with. We don't have to go into hate inside relationships, but just coming back to that level of consciousness around the communication, and to love and self-worth and caring for one another, and consciously having that space where the hard things can get said, because it's when the hard things don't get said, that's where we drive wedges inside of the relationship, right? I don't know how to tell him that I don't like that. I remember one couple that I worked with, this was very early on, and they were in their 70s, actually late 60s. One was late 60s, the other one was early 70s. And I remember her saying, I just don't like the way my husband kisses me. And I thought, oh my God, like, just my heart felt like I sunk a little bit. Like, I always want to be there, not to be in shame or anything, but it just, again, I was very early on in my coaching, and I just thought, oh, wow, to not have said that to your partner for so many years, that you didn't like the way that they kissed you because you feared hurting them or hurting their feelings, but you really wanted a different kind of kiss, or you wanted to be made love to differently. And yet, Jill, I see this so often because people fall into these roles of like, sex is a duty. Sex is my responsibility. I'm in sex because it's he's my husband, he's my wife, she's my wife, they are my wife, they're my partner, it's birthday sex, it's whatever, that it becomes a duty, or it's that time of the month and I promised that I'd have sex with them once a month. So the loving intention is taken out of that versus this ability to be able to say, I would really love something different, but often they don't say it because they don't know what they want.
You don't know what they want. I think that's what I was saying. So that's what I was thinking is when I went to the communication part, I thought to myself, oh boy, but you still have to know what you want first. So really step one is getting familiar with yourself, that self-worth, that self-love journey, figuring out what you want, and then getting into that clarity. When you have the clarity is also communicating. And if you're in relationship and this is new to you, is go through the process and be so transparent about, hey, I'm going into a journey of this process here. I'm still trying to figure my way around, but to understand, bear with me, because I'm trying to figure out how to love myself and how to establish some boundaries, things that I know I like and don't like. And so I'm going to be trying some things out here. And maybe
absolutely not just saying that is exciting. Like I would love that my partner would say that to me and just say, hey, I'm on a journey. And it's, wow, I really respect that. Like that would light me up versus
I think any partner would say, oh my God, and how can I help you with that? I'd love to be a part of that.
Yeah. But not be a part of it, but not enable it, not be there to fix, because that can be a savior complex too. Working with another client and he's like, I feel like I'm healing women right now. And I'm like, oh, okay, just a minute. There's a persona that you're taking on right there of the healer. So you get a hit off of the ego, the adrenaline. Yeah.
I've done that in plenty of relationships where I'm the fixer and it's because I'm avoiding my own shit.
Yeah.
So that's really fun. Yeah, that's a call it. And also another one I would say that where you're talking about that is, I would say, and this should be your hashtag or your opening line is, if sex is a duty in your life, you need Allie. Really, that should just be a bump, like a little bumper sticker or something. But because I was in that, and I don't think it was a duty, but many of my viewers know is that I lost my husband 7 years ago, suddenly. And there was something that I'm a very sexual being and sensual and all that. But one of the things we didn't have that kind of communication. We had a great marriage, but there was something that I found out about after he passed, that would I have known that about him, our relationship would have been so much different. But neither one of us revealed and said what our desires and our pleasure was. And I had no clue until after. And so I had to just burst out into tears and cry and just say, I'm so sorry, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I just don't why do I do this channel? Why do I have these videos? Because I learned things about myself and I'm on a journey, and my human design, I'm a 6, I'm a role model. What I heard yesterday was that in that space, I have to be someone that's going to make a lot of mistakes. And then I got to share it with everybody and tell you how I learned this and what I fucked up and what I learned. That's why I'm doing this, because I think, Allie, you're so incredible and you've helped so many people already. And every time I talk to you, I'm just like note paper. I'm like running out of paper here. And so anyway, I'd love to see the example. So tell us something, tell us what you've got. Something else. Just, I want to hear more.
Yeah. First of all, honoring you on the journey, right? And just being gentle with yourself in that, as we're all here opening up, healing, doing our part. And it's so easy to look back and say, I wish I could have. And that's part of the shaming too, right? Is I should have known this, done this. I wish it were different. I wish I could change this. So be gentle with yourself in that regard, and just know that none of us have been given a good sex education. And now we have an opportunity. And that's why I said, why I call it becoming a conscious lover. It's like no longer can we start sweeping it under the rug and be unconscious as to who we are as sexual and erotic beings, because there's too much information that's out there. There's too much to claim unconsciousness right now in our society. There's way too much information to waken people up. And if you choose to go unconscious, that's your choice. But for people that want conscious relationships, they want a conscious partner that's also doing the work. So yeah, I think that's beautiful what you said. And I just wanted to say that.
I definitely dealt with it. But I think what it did is it gave me an opportunity to be conscious of it in the future. Is don't be asleep at the wheel. This is your opportunity to like actually show up and figure out what it is. And so going on that journey and not just sitting back and being like, I don't sit in the victim mentality very long. I'm like, okay, what can we do with this? This is cool. So it's an opportunity, a lesson.
Beautiful. I love it. Yeah. And it's been for me as well, right? Like in my former relationship, and I was in a very long-term relationship, 24 years. So yeah, that's a long time. And I wish I could look back and say, I wish things were different. But just to go back to your version of the bumper sticker, just to know that I love that. That's beautiful. And I don't want ever people to feel like the relationship needs to be broken or wrong or something needs to be fixed inside of it, because you can even still be having amazing sex inside your relationship. And there's always another level. There's always somewhere else to go inside of this. And that's, I feel like, a big part of the consciousness for people that come into this space. And you can always tell, because some people come in and be like, oh no, our relationship's good, it's fine, it's great. And then the other partner's sitting there, no, I want more, like I want something different. And again, even if it is like, when I stepped into this world, I was like, wow, I didn't even know all of this was available to me. So there's so much more that's available. So even if your sex life is great, so there's another bumper sticker, take it to another level, right? That you, even though orgasm is amazing, have 5 today, or I don't know what the bumper sticker is, but there's always something else inside of that. And so when you asked about something else like that, that is inside of this, and something that I love to teach, that I'm passionate about, is touch and touch skills, because I think that's huge too. Because there is as we often say, the 2 types of touch in an intimate relationship with your lover, with your partner, is the kind of touch that you like, the kind of touch that brings arousal to you, that turns you on, is part of the pathway to pleasure. And then the kind of touch that shuts you down, right? That isn't the kind of touch that you like. Maybe it's the touch that's too much, too fast, or too hard, or too gentle, too soft, not enough, want more of, or less of. So there's those 2 types of touch. So that's a big part also of learning touch skills. And as we often say, is, who is this touch for? Am I touching for you and for your pleasure and your pleasure only? Or am I touching for my pleasure? Because this feels good to me, right? There is the taking and giving of touch. And I've been playing with this, my fuzzy little pen, which I feel the fuzz balls all over me. There is the, I'm touching this because it feels so good. So it's, am I taking touch from this pen, feeling it, feeling the textures of it, noticing something inside, oh, the furriness, and then the transition to plastic, noticing the shape inside? Or am I giving and receiving touch? My hand feels so good, I'm going to play with something in between, and receiving. So that is a big part of what can often shut down or make orgasm elusive for people, because it's, am I giving or am I receiving? Am I giving to you? Are you getting? Or are you having an orgasm? Am I having an orgasm? Are we orgasming at the same time? Like, there becomes this space where it can be difficult for people to be embodied and stay inside their body, to either be on the end of giving or the receiving part.
I love that you brought that up. I'm glad we covered that, because difficult to be embodied is, this happens a lot. And I learned this one with a partner a few years ago, is this situation of always, it was hard for me to receive. Like, I'm always a giver, and to just receive in general in life, because how we do one thing in life is how we do everything. And so it's to actually be in a situation where I couldn't do anything. I'll just keep it like that, keep it simple. And I learned at that point how to receive, because I could not go and reciprocate at the same time. And there's this tendency sometimes, like when someone's, and I was in, actually, someone was rubbing my feet recently. And when I went to reach for his, he went, no, this is your time. And I went, oh. And I'm like, I know, I was like, okay, this is a good one. Cool. So that is that acknowledgement and understanding that not only the person who's aware to say, let me tell them that it's their time, but also to be willing to receive and to accept that, and not feel guilty or for just being pleasured without expecting or having to think that you've got to be doing something at the same time, or even at all, or even reciprocate at all. It's fair, but tell me what you think about that.
Oh, absolutely, 1000%. It's, again, that kind of goes back to a little bit of the good girl syndrome. Oh, I need to give back. Oh, they've done something, like a tit for tat, like they've done something for me, therefore I need to do something in exchange. I see this a lot, even, oh, you made dinner, so let me do the dishes. Like, I need to do something and give back versus, okay, I'm just going to sit and be the gracious receiver. I love to call it the gracious receiver, because it's like, can I just, or be gracious in this moment to be so embodied to just be heart open receiver. And when we can heart open receive, we can also go into surrender, right? Because then there's another level of being able to receive. And that also happens even with the orgasm, to be more in, wow, okay, I could just be in receiving mode. I don't have to give, I don't have to do anything. I can just receive. So I could be more in my body, more present in this moment, and be more present to the touch, ask for what I want, not feeling like I need to give back. And I'll say this even in my family, Jill, I see this especially when it comes to, oh, I'll pay for dinner, I'll get lunch, I'll buy. And then it's this fight, right? That goes, no, let me get it. No, let me at least go have, let's go down, versus thank you. I'm going to be the gracious receiver of that and just thank that for that gift. So I love this gentleman that you're speaking of, because that to me, and touch skills, and that's why around the wheel that I talk about this, the erotic self-awareness and then the conscious communication and then touch. And the reason why I did it in that way is because you also have to have amazing communication skills to go with the touch, because it's not just about giving you the touch that I want to give, it's checking in with you. What I like to call the body whisperer is like, the body whisperer is like fully present. What's happening down here? What's happening? Like, I'm touching you. What's happening? And not making an assumption of, oh, she must be aroused. He must be aroused and turned on because I see the fingers moving, or I see the tension in the body tightening. Then feeling, oh, there must be something wrong. And I'll tell you, I was doing a live event recently here in Miami, and I was teaching the couple that was demonstrating for me, and I teach the touch skills, right? So her husband was on the table and I was walking her through the touch skills. And so we had this big, beautiful crystal that we put on the gentleman that was on the table. And his whole body is like tightening, contracting. And my mind is, even though as seasoned as I am and human at the same time, I'm thinking, oh my God, I think I got to get this crystal off him. I don't think he's enjoying this. And so when I asked him how pleasurable it was on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being orgasmic, I'm at a 4. And I just thought, oh, here I was like ready to have her remove the crystal right away. But this is highly orgasmic for him. So again, we can't just assume that we're seeing something happening in the body and, oh, they must be enjoying it or they're not enjoying it. How conscious am I to communicate, to check in, and not in a way that is that good for you? You like that?
I know. It's like, oh, I know. Oh, no.
I get that too from, I remember another client.
Or is it like here? Is this where it is? It's
yeah.
Like,
does it feel good? Do you like this? Is this right?
I don't know how to tell somebody not to do that in a way that would actually work. And that's another conversation probably, but yeah.
Yeah. And that can be different for every blueprint. And that's why it's important to know each person's blueprint, because for somebody that's like sexual might just be like, yeah, just tell me, like move it here, go there. Right. And somebody else might want a gentle suggestion. And that's the other part of it, is taking the sense of the, I'm not enough.
I was going to say
out of it. Because if we feel like we're not enough or we're not doing it right, it's I'm a bad lover, right? So if we feel like we're a bad lover, that's going to shut down arousal, or they've corrected me, or they want something different, then I'm going to take it personal. So it's about learning that as well, right? That we're not taking it personal, but we're just being present with what brings this body pleasure in front of me.
Absolutely. Yeah. Don't take it personal, because that's the worst, is that when that happens, the best lovers are the ones who took direction and asked questions and know their stuff. 20-something-year-old is not going to know what a 50-year-old knows. Let me tell you, if they've asked questions, they're going to be awesome, because they understand their experience. They're not just, here was one other thing I was thinking, is what you said is the thing about the touch is when someone says, is this okay? Is this how you like it? Then I'm always thinking of the other side of the person who's insecure, who doesn't have the worth, the self-worth, and doubting in the boundaries as they go, oh, it's great. Is it? And then being willing to just play with that and say, because then you lose the moment is, oh, if I get too picky, they won't do it anymore.
Yeah.
Like maybe that was in my head. That was my own thought. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. And not even the lacking of the self-worth, but just not even knowing your body. That's where I say I love working with individuals, because then it's an opportunity for them just to get to know their own body and to be able to play with that in a variety of different ways throughout all the blueprints, because then it's, oh yeah, that feels good. Oh, I love that. Can you do more of that? And enjoying this or that, moving my body, guiding with my body at the same time. There is the essence of knowing your body and being able to ask for what you want. And part of that is the slowing down. So if we don't know ourselves as these erotic beings, and then being able to also do the healing work with our throat chakra, really to be able to ask for what we want, how to ask for it, how to say things, guide our partner to experience different things, and then the consciousness to be able to receive it. Not only to ask, but to be a gracious receiver of, okay, I get that. This isn't about me. This isn't about the way I'm touching. It's just what this person wants in this moment in time. And then honoring that. So it's a two-way street, right? There is really the knowing of yourself as this erotic being, and then the experience of that with another person, to be able to be conscious enough to open to what they want and what do they need, and how knowing my capacity to also give them that, so that I'm not abandoning myself, not overriding myself. I can give you that. I can't give you that. I'm not available for that, but I am available for this. I'm not available for this level of flogging, but maybe I can play with the rabbit fur flogger, and I'm available to that and experience that. So it's just knowing what you are available for and what you're willing to expand into. And then agreement can come into space. So it's okay, now we have a safe container to be able to play in. And we have safe words and all of that, but it feels more down-regulating on the nervous system, and it's more open and fun and playful. And some people say, I don't want to talk about sex. We should just be able to do it. And it's great. How's that working out for you? Because for me personally, and especially for an energetic, I'd rather talk about it and then know that safety's there, and then the tease and the play, the anticipation, it's already there, and look, it's having something to look forward to. And who doesn't like talking about sex, right? Like, for many people, that is arousing in itself. So when we can talk about the play, the scene, the dynamic, whatever is going to happen, then everybody gets settled into knowing where we're going with this experience, and without a destination, without orgasm having to be the end destination in this, right? I'm just going to keep pounding until somebody has an orgasm, or where it's not pleasure-based for somebody, versus let's just step that back, let's move into pleasure. Because even just by stopping, stillness, sometimes even stillness is amazing, right?
Yeah.
That can be incredibly arousing. I love stillness at times, and sometimes I really love like tensing my body. Sometimes we think, oh, it's all about surrender. Sometimes there's a sensation of just like tensing the body, and then it's upon the release that it's, whoa, like just waves that can move over the body at the same time. So it's playing with all of that, experiencing that, and having a safe, and ideas. It's like that's part of what we bring to all of this, is to learn how to embody it, learn how to bring pleasure to people's lives, learn the conscious communication inside of this, learn how to learn my own body, and how to explore and experience another, and to expand. And especially if I've been in a relationship for a long period of time, like we said earlier at the beginning, how do you have those conversations when you've never even said that before to a lover, to a partner that wants to expand, and somebody else is not there yet, not ready to meet you, or is ready to meet you?
Yeah, and how do you do that with someone? I know I have a lot of people, listeners or viewers, that watch this that have been in a relationship for years. What if they're going like, this sounds amazing, how do I, but I don't know how to bring this up. What do I say? How do I start?
Yeah, that's something I got to check in and see where people are at, first of all, like inside their relationship. So it's not a one size fits all conversation for everybody. Okay. And it can still be just very gentle. You know what? Our relationship is so important to me. Our intimacy is so important to me. I would love to experience more of that with you. And because I want to, I'm giving you a model of what could be said, because I want to experience more of that, I'm considering hiring a coach. I'm considering attending the event. Would you be open and willing to join me in this exploration? So it's not coming from a space of, you suck as a lover and this relationship sucks and this needs fixing. It's not about what's wrong. It's, what do I want? What's the vision of what I'm moving towards? Because even in workspaces, we said earlier, how we do anything is how we do everything. People will do things for reward. Right? People want to be honored. People want things that they look forward to. They don't want to be shamed about something. They don't want to be felt like they're wrong or broken or need fixing or won't be loved or I'm leaving you if you don't do this with me, have this experience. This is important to me. This is important to us. I want to deepen our connection. I want to deepen our intimacy. I want something further. And like I said earlier, we're at like one of the biggest in the United States anyway. We're at like one of the biggest levels of divorce rate in history. And people want more conscious relationships. People are often saying, I don't want to settle. I don't want to stay in this relationship. This is unhealthy. This is toxic. This is whatever. Or I'm doing everything. I'm like taking care of the kids and I'm working a job and I'm not being desired. I'm not getting what I want. So it's about having that way of saying, I want more for us.
And could it be too? Yeah, that this is important to me. And could it be that when we have that conversation, we might very pleasantly be surprised that our partner might say, oh my God, me too. I've been thinking that. I just didn't know how to say it. And then you win versus what happens oftentimes is we don't communicate that and the relationship breaks down and then we head to divorce because we never had the conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. Or fear arises, right? Because it's, oh my God, we've had this conversation so many times and I know what happens. It's just going to lead to a fight. But that's why having a coach or a third party, I don't triangulate, right? I'm not here to pick sides. I'm here for each person to get what they need. And then what are you telling me that the relationship wants? Where do you want to go with the relationship, right? So I'm here to then help bridge the gap of how it's like you've got two people speaking different languages. And how do I help them learn each other's language to come back together without a space of triangulating? You're getting your needs met, you're getting your needs met. Nobody wants to feel like somebody's on their side and that's so unhealthy. So it's really about bringing that together. And so sometimes, yes, the other person is saying, yes, I'm a hell yes, let's do that. Especially I find a lot of times if the wife initiates it and then most men are like, yes, I'm in, like, I want this. I want to have this conversation and communication, but I don't want it to lead to another fight. And that's where coming in, and again, every person is different, Jill. Like I do something in my webinar, which is like when I talk about the erotic self-awareness, the conscious communication, the touch skills, the embodiment, and the sexploration, I created what's called a gap map. Some people are familiar with the term gap map or a wheel of life. I call it a wheel of pleasure. It is this pathway to pleasure. 0% is I'm at 0%. I have no, let's just say, touch skills, right? I have touch skills, but I'm not really on board with what brings me pleasure, knowing what turns me on, knowing what arouses me, and knowing how to deliver that kind of touch to a partner at the same time. Versus 100% is on the outside of the wheel. So if I'm like, yeah, I've gone to many courses and I've done this, and there's still always space for more growth, I might say, yeah, I'm at an 80% in touch. Right? So that you can look at each area of the wheel, and I ask a series of questions that help people just drop into closed eye experience of just where are you in a percentage on this part of the wheel. So already it gives you an understanding of where can I focus inside my relationship? What do I want to strengthen? Like this one couple I said that's been 7 years of programs in Chapman Institute, they're amazing at communicating. Even at that, the communication skills I taught them was so different than what they had learned around communication that it even brought their communication up another level, opened up even more consciousness inside than combined with the other parts of the wheel. But they were like, I'm just here for the touch skills part, right? I'm just here for the erotic self-awareness, and it's the unconscious incompetence, so to speak. I don't even know what I don't even know yet. I don't even know what's available to me inside of this. So when you go through the wheel, you get to see where you're at, because sometimes we want to work on different areas of our life. If people are familiar with the wheel of life, we might say, I want to work on my health and my fitness. I want to work on my finances. I want to work on my career, and relationships is one part of that. And that for me personally was a journey that I started 10 years ago, where it was like my score in my relationship essence was low. And I was in a relationship, but it was not healthy. It was not good. It was not communicative. Like it was healthy in some terms, but we were friends. We were in the friendship zone for many years. So how do I take that to an intimate, thriving relationship? And I didn't know where to go with it. I didn't know what I didn't even know. I didn't know that I needed certain tools that were around touch, that were around getting out of my head and stop shaming and blaming my partner, right? To take levels of self-responsibility, to learn who I was as an erotic being. As I said earlier, wasn't about he needed to make me orgasm. It was me taking responsibility for owning my own orgasm, my own learning what turns this body on, and then keeping it online, not just once a month, not birthday wise, but keep what am I responsible for? And even on a biochemical level, as I move through menopause, there's a level of responsibility and a journey that was huge for me too, right? All the symptoms of going on through menopause. And if women can relate to, that's a whole journey. And how do we come back to arousal? That's a whole nother different podcast
Yeah,
and
we should do
conversation.
another call on that one.
Yeah, that's a whole nother journey, right? To really understand your body. And those again are things that we look into. Again, that's why it's so different. Like I said, meet people where they're at, because it's not a one size fits all when it comes to sex and intimacy. Some people it is a biochemical journey. It's like, where are they? What's going on for them? Diving into some past history around some of that, getting them in a healthy, that their body's healthy. But for me, coming back to that wheel of life was really, what could I create for myself? And this is why I got so excited about this and creating this. It was like, oh my God, it took me 10 years, but I'm here. This is the whole wheel for me personally. And I was just like focusing on those 5 areas are what can really bring me to a higher level of my relationship score. Because people say, great, but what do I do to make it even more amazing? Right? Here is that tool to bring that from 0, 10 to whatever percentage, in my humble opinion.
Okay. I get it. And I think here's what I'm thinking, and I would love to, because everyone's going, okay, this is such great information. And we touched on it earlier. I'm going to drop the links in, but you do a great webinar, and you've got an event coming up in Miami and more to come. And you also do one-on-one. So we're going to drop all of those links in here, and we'll be promoting it on the social media as well. And you can find Allie. And also, let me bring this out to the audience too, is definitely write some comments in the chat and let me know, does this appeal to you? Do you want to hear more of these kind of interviews? I've done 2 of these now like this, and I do relationships ones, and because I really like it. It's interesting to me. And I want to know if this is interesting to you. Should we bring Allie back? Tell us what you liked about it. Tell us what you want more information on, and maybe we'll get Allie to come back and do another one, and we'll go and dive deeper.
Yeah, if there's something there that people want more information on, I'm happy to, like, you and I have talked many times, we get on calls, we can have hours and hours of conversations. And yeah, there's areas that we can dive in on. And I also respect that my viewpoints may not be somebody else's viewpoints or somebody else's experience, right? They might be like, no, I don't believe this isn't for me. I'm cool with that too. Everything and all is welcomed. So yeah, I'd love to hear people's comments. And if you tag me or something, Jill, I'm happy to go in and to even say something. And just to finish off on the event that's coming up in Miami, it is September 22nd at Inhale Miami. So there is a live event there. Also, I'm working on something else. It's not, oh, sorry.
September 22nd, 2023.
Yes, 2023. Yeah. And I'm working on something else. So you may see a series of events coming up. It's just not solidified yet, but it is also in the South Beach, Miami area. But if that gets solidified prior to the launch of your podcast, then we'll put that information in there as well. That would be in September as well, something that is coming up. So people can find me there. I also do live webinars. So I'll give you that link as well. And if people are just like, hey, I just want to jump on a call, I'm not certain this is for me. If you know me, you know that I am not a hard salesperson. That's just not me, because when it comes to sex and intimacy, you've got to want to work on this area of your life. This isn't, I want to grow my business, I want to be a 6-figure, 7-figure. This is, you've got to want to work on your sex life. And frankly, I want to open my calendar and be like, yay, it's Jill. Like, I get to work with Jill today. Like, I want to be excited about the people that come in that want transformation, that are consciously choosing this and want to be conscious in their lovemaking, want to be conscious in their intimacy, not choosing to go unconscious anymore. So that's what's important to me. So set up a call and we'll see if that is something that is for you, and that I'm the right coach for you too. If I'm not the right coach, I'm not the person that's going to say, yeah, come and coach with me. I'll recommend you to maybe somebody else. Like, I have access to so many different people that are in my circle. I'm happy to say that's not in my wheelhouse. And let me send you to somebody else, and maybe you could do an informational interview with somebody else as well.
I love that. I love that. Thank you so much for that. And yeah, Allie is one of the most genuine, honest, loving people I know. And she truly has a big heart and wants people to win, wants them to be happy and wants them to experience pleasure. And that's what this call was about today, is communication with our partners, being intentional and just having your best life. And that's what every one of these interviews is about. So thank you, Allie, for being here today. I truly appreciate you and I love you so much. And
Yeah, love you
we'll
too.
see each other soon. Thank you, everyone. And stay tuned for the next ones, and please share and subscribe, and definitely share this to somebody that you know needs it. Okay. All right. Have a great one. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.